everybody. Welcome to the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. We set oppressions ablaze over here, systems of oppression, shit that is holding marginalized people back, and even regular folks. Capitalism is holding regular folks back. White people is down bad out here because of capitalism, in addition to, the rest of us. But, nobody is spared, unfortunately, from these global systems out here that are at play. But guess what, y'all? They are crumbling right before our eyes. Isn't that exciting? Woo! Turn up over Memorial Day weekend for that. Welcome to the program. It is time for us to get rolling into the jam. We've got a good show in store for you. I wanted to look at the announcements this week pertaining the recognition of the Palestinian state by a number of European countries. Shout out to Ireland. Ireland is usually with the shits out here. And, Israel's becoming more and more isolated. And I think it's going to be way more difficult for the United States to continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with its number one ally as the genocide in Gaza continues. So I want us to look at that. I want us to take a look at the commencement walkout that happened at Harvard. They pissing off the smart kids. Y'all, listen. Let me tell you, as Gen X, right? Like nerds were thoroughly made fun of. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like the John Hughes movies where the nerds were getting shoved in the lockers, at least not at my school. But yes, nerds, you made fun of the nerds. But as a 45-year-old woman, I can absolutely tell you that the nerds of 1996 have absolutely had the last laugh. The nerds of my classmates, my age mates, them nerds have had the last laugh. Now keep fucking with these smart kids of 2024. You keep fucking with these smart ass Gen Z kids. These motherfuckers is gonna develop an algorithm that'll wipe out all the colonialistic capitalists. Keep playing with these youths out here. We're gonna take a look at some of those scenes. Going to be good there. I also want to get you guys updated about what happened to Marilyn Mosby. Her sentencing was this week. Spoiler alert, she not going to jail. She lucked out. Marilyn need to go buy her a Powerball ticket tonight. she need to get in on that Powerball action immediately because she absolutely lucked out. But I want us to hear not only from Marilyn Mosby and her supporters, but Keith and Kelly Davis showed up to the sentencing at the Greenbelt Courthouse, and Kelly gave a statement. So I would like for us to hear from the Davises what they think about Marilyn Mosby being spared federal jail time after her 2 federal convictions. But hold on, let me get into the chat. Let me say what's up. If you're watching us in the world, thank you so much for making the time to join us. This is Burn It Down with Kim Brown every Tuesday and Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Shout out to everyone that's watching over on Twitch. What up, Twitch? BIDWKB. Thank you. Shout out to Twitter. I mean, y'all can speak. I mean, it's okay. We'll see the comment. Will, be sure if somebody from Twitter say anything, throw them up on the screen. Same with Twitch, same with Facebook. Let's get these other platforms involved out here. But YouTube, this is where the family comes to congregate, and I'm appreciative that my people are here with me. See, this be the shit I be talking about, y'all. Why, Jeebus? Why, Jeebus? I don't know. Again, this thing I can't get into the chat. This is weird, and maybe I'll do it later. Let me close my phone out and maybe we'll try this again. I'll give the shout outs here in just a bit, you guys. Thank you all so much for rocking with the kid. Come to break bread with God. You know what I mean? We love that. Thank you. But before we get started, I did want to say something really quickly about the latest revelations about Diddy. I'm not sure if you guys have heard this or not, but there have been 2 additional lawsuits filed against Diddy alleging all different variations of the terrible things that he has already been accused of. One accusation comes from 2003 from a model named Crystal McKinney. The other comes from a sister, first name April, though I can't recall her last name. And the only reason I'm mentioning these women's names is because they themselves included their names in their civil lawsuits against Diddy. April, the sister who also filed suit, was that today or maybe late yesterday? She alleges that in the mid 90s, she was a student at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, where she came across Diddy. And over the next few years, they would deal with each other on and off. But she claims that he allegedly drugged and assaulted her multiple times. The previous woman from, the next previous lawsuit from Crystal McKinney, a model who met Diddy at an MTV event in 2003. He invited her back to the studio, she says in her lawsuit. She says she was, chilling and shit, and they passed around a blunt. She says she thinks the blunt was laced with something. She's not sure. She began to feel unwell, went to the bathroom, and she alleges Diddy assaulted her there. And honestly, just listening to these most recent women's accounts of what they say Diddy did to them, in a different time, those lawsuits would have been met with, oh, y'all got invited out to the party, to the exclusive, to the VIP, or you got invited to the studio. You know what you was there for. They didn't force no drinks on you. They ain't make you do nothing you didn't want to do. You had a good time and now you feel sorry. Now it's just the walk of shame, the morning after. That's how these latest accusations would have been met with, that kind of attitude. Okay. But in light of not only the Cassie video being released, but the volume of allegations on the record and off the record, these two latest joints ring true. This sounds on brand for P terrible, for P debaucherous. And this is just the beginning, everybody. This is just the beginning. It's going to be a trickle, then a river. Then it's going to be a raging flash flood, right? It's going to be uncontrollable, unstoppable. And we're going to watch. We're going to see how this all plays out. But look for the Diddy in your own life and in your own community, in your own area. Them people, and I'll say people here because it's not just men, because there's women out here doing shady shit too that they totally should not be doing, and doing abusive shit that they should not be doing. Unfortunately, not to say you have to give credence to whisper campaigns or that kind of shit when people are kind of whispering, don't leave your drink around him, or don't say nothing to make her mad because she'll fight. Like just notice it, pay attention, don't ignore it, don't dismiss it. You don't have to amplify it, you don't have to circulate it, you don't have to broadcast it. Well, it depends. If the person that has a reputation for making others unsafe in their company, maybe you could circulate that. But hey, let's not just get the Diddy in Hollywood, let's get the Diddy in your hood. Okay, all right, that's all I got to say about that. Let me cut my phone back on, see if this stupid shit is working. Give the video a like, a thumbs up, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, follow us different places around the internet at BIDWKB. I want to get into the story because we've been following it. We've been following it for years now, even before Marilyn Mosby herself was charged with anything. We've been following her conduct while she was state's attorney of Baltimore, of which she is no longer. Marilyn Mosby earlier this year, was convicted on 2 federal counts, including perjury and fraud, in connection with her attempting to buy, or rather buying, a Florida condo in Longboat Key, I believe, with funds procured from her retirement funds that she used under the guise of COVID hardship, some pity pat shit, some paperwork shit. The federal prosecutors were seeking a 20-month sentence for Marilyn Mosby. Her attorneys asked for probation and got it, guys. Marilyn Mosby will not be serving any jail time. Instead, a federal judge sentenced her, I believe, to 3 years supervised release and 12 months home confinement. Sheesh. I'm sure this lady was so relieved. Well, pop the article up for me if you could. Yeah. I'm sure Marilyn Mosby, that not only did she breathe tremendous sighs of relief because she has 2 teenage daughters. I'm not certain. I don't know. I was going to say not everybody is built for jail, but guess what? She was going to federal prison, or potentially would have been going to a federal prison, minimum security. I think she would have been all right. But now she don't have to worry about that at all because Marilyn Mosby instead getting probation instead of a jail sentence. And this in part, I believe, was due to the massive publicity campaign, the publicity blitz. Marilyn Mosby and her supporters went on national media. We saw clips here from her appearing on MSNBC. I know she made a Breakfast Club appearance. She was on Al Sharpton. She just made the rounds, basically begging Joe Biden for a pardon, which she has not received, which, by the way, she still is campaigning for. But I want us to go, well, we're going to go to that first video where Marilyn Mosby, after learning her sentence of probation, outside of the Greenbelt courthouse, the federal courthouse in Greenbelt, Maryland, alongside of her daughters, alongside of the likes of Ben Crump. Her daughters addressed the media, which I thought was interesting. And let's go ahead and take a look. I believe this is from Fox 45. The scenes outside of the federal courthouse in Greenbelt, Maryland, after Marilyn Mosby learned that she would not be going to jail. Let's take a look.
Justice for Maryland! Justice for Maryland! Justice for Maryland! Justice for Maryland! Justice for Maryland!
There you go, baby. Hi, my name is Anaya Mosby. Thank you to everyone who supported my mom. We are so grateful for everyone who signed the petition for President Biden to pardon my mom.
Good afternoon. My name is Marilyn Mosby, and I want to thank all of you, friends, family, and the city of Baltimore, and the entire country for showing up for my mom. And her fight for justice has inspired me to become a prosecutor.
Wow, yeah! Yes!
Justice for Marilyn Mosby is justice for all of us.
Yeah! Yeah! Love you, Marilyn.
Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. Submit to him in all of your ways, and he will make your path straight. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for the fight. Thank you to everyone who signed that petition. Thank you for the federal public defender team that so eloquently advocated on my behalf. Thank you. I swear God sent angels into my life to see me when I felt like I wasn't being seen. And I'm just so grateful to each and every one of you, to the 14 civil rights organizations that have signed on to that pardon. Urban League, NAACP, Win with Black Women, my brother Ben Crump. I tell you, my sister Angela Rye, Monique Presley. There were so many, Latasha Brown, Kim Gardner, all of the folks that came out today. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge those of you locally who were fighting for me from the beginning. The Sheenas, the Hakis, the Earthas, the Bills. I'm just so incredibly grateful. Reverend Slayton, thank you.
We love you. We love you, sister.
This is not over. But God was here today, and I know he's with me.
Always.
He touched the heart of this judge and has allowed me to go home to my babies.
Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
From the bottom of my heart, Uncle T, Zai, there's so many of you all that have been there for me that I am so eternally grateful for. I could not name all of you in this moment, but it's because of you that I'm standing here right now, and I am forever and eternally grateful. God bless you all.
People united will never be defeated. Amen. Amen. Who we love?
There's no way it was. No questions. No questions. We're not taking questions. Thank you.
A people united will never be defeated. A people united will never be defeated. A people united will never be defeated. A people united will never be defeated.
Yikes. Yikes. So there you have it. Marilyn Mosby not necessarily walking free, but not going to jail either. Still very much trying to obtain a pardon from President Joe Biden. Marilyn Mosby maintains her innocence. Marilyn Mosby said she ain't do shit wrong. And yeah, I guess in the scheme of things, again, I keep saying it's pity pat, it's paperwork. Yeah, was she targeted likely because she was a Black woman visible in the position of power? Yeah, all things can be true at the same time. She's still a goofball who used the power of her office to do harm to regular working class people. And I want us to go, Will, if you could cue up the comments from Kelly Davis, because learning that Marilyn Mosby was scheduled to be sentenced this week, I thought about the Davises, and I'm wondering, to myself, I'm like, I wonder what they were thinking about all of this, about their main persecutor of Keith Davis Jr., a man who Marilyn Mosby's office tried 5 times, in which the ending, they ended, all these trials ended in a variety of different, basically losses from Marilyn Mosby's office. Convictions were obtained, but they were overturned. There were some mistrials because our office was fucking sloppy. Okay, let's keep it a buck. And obviously Keith didn't do the shit. Because if he did do the shit 5 times, 5 bites at the apple should have rendered a successful conviction, but they didn't. And this man ended up being in jail for 7 years, basically convicted of nothing. And Marilyn Mosby was set to try him again, a 6th time, on different charges that her office trumped up, falsified, fabricated, because she, as an individual, had a vendetta against this working class Black family in Baltimore, the people that she's actually supposed to be protecting, right? And for all this assembly of the Black bourgeoisie of Baltimore, and then they snatched in some national figures like Ben Crump and Sherilyn Ifill. Well, Sherilyn's local, but it's just wild how they all assemble for one of their own. But for working class folks like the Davises, Keith Davis was on par to be the most tried man, the most tried person in American history. Where the fuck was Ben Crump and Sherilyn Ifill for that? Where was the NAACP Legal Defense Fund writing letters on behalf of Keith Davis Jr. because Marilyn Mosby specifically as a person continued to target and persecute him and his family? Let's take a listen to Kelly Davis. She and Keith were out front of the federal courthouse in Greenbelt, and they spoke to the media. Let's take a listen.
System because she was the system. And I just think that it's important for us to see this play out.
Well, take that from the very, very, very beginning. Let's get that first sentence that Kelly said.
System because she was the system. And I just think that it's important for us to see this play out, but bewildered at a lot of the comments and the things that she stated, that she's wrongfully convicted, that she should deserve a pardon, and everything else is extraordinarily, I no words for it.
Do you think she should go to prison?
I don't believe prison is the answer. She's a mother. She lied, yes. But do I believe she belongs in jail for that? No. We know what that does to a family, and I don't wish that on anyone, especially her.
Do you believe that she should ever be an attorney again? Practice
Absolutely
law?
not. She should never have the the liberty to determine someone. She should never have the power to determine someone's life or liberty ever again. I think at the very least, her law license should be snatched, and she should not be allowed to hold public office ever again, which I am confident she will not.
Kelly Davis showing way more grace and class and empathy than I don't think I ever could. I don't think I ever could. The Davises went through literal, actual hell. Okay. And the reason why Marilyn Mosby, I think in part why she was so determined to convict Keith on something was because of the pushback that Kelly Davis gave her in them streets of Baltimore. Kelly Davis, I mean, I know there was other organizers and people joined in, but for fucking Kelly, but for Kelly, it seriously, Kelly took on the most powerful woman in Baltimore City, and she won. She got her husband home. Whew. That's some deep, powerful shit, everybody. But hold on. And so okay. Shout out to Kelly Davis because she said that Marilyn Mosby did not deserve to be in jail. And even though I know it sounded like I was kind of on the fence here in the past couple weeks, because I told y'all, if y'all see the petition, don't sign that petition. But y'all sign it, do whatever you want. It's whatever. But at the same, had she gone, I was not going to cry no tears for her. Now, having seen her daughters, that did soften my heart some. It's like, okay, those girls look like they're preteen adolescents. Yeah, they need their mom with them. However, I'm curious of how good of a job Marilyn and Nick Mosby are doing raising these kids. Because why this little girl tell everybody that she wants to be a prosecutor? I mean, baby girl, if she had told me she wanted to be a criminal defense attorney and to keep people out of the system, to help exonerate and free wrongly targeted folks, wrongly convicted folks, then I'd be like, oh, wow, see, that's good. But the little girl says she wanted to be a prosecutor. The little girl has told us that she wants to put people in jail. And y'all, and that's what the Bougies are doing. They are just replicating their version of the system. So they can continue to maintain their position as the buffer, the wedge between the white power system, the white power structure, and the rest of us. So that's nice. Marilyn Mosby has taught her daughter to want to put people in jail. There's that. So hold on. I wanted to make a point here because for those. Oh, yeah, and I said that already. Like, where was Ben Crump for Keith Davis Jr.? Where was all these people for Keith Davis Jr.? They wasn't there because that this is where the class aspect really reveals itself. I know this is across the country, but particularly in a place like Baltimore, like it is a majority Black city, but the class distinctions are marked. Okay, like they are absolutely there. And it manifests itself in scenes like those outside of the courthouse there, with the contrast of the Davises, who were actually persecuted by the system, and Marilyn Mosby herself, as Kelly said, she is not a victim of the system because she is the system. That's part of the reason why I think Marilyn Mosby is so bewildered. Like she can't understand. She's like, why are they coming after me when I'm one of them? She had been deputized to go after the other Blacks. She couldn't understand why the whites was coming after her. She's like, wait a minute, I'm part of the system. How could you turn on me, system? So hold on. I want to give you guys a little bit more explanation about not only the antagonism between Marilyn Mosby, especially when she was still state's attorney, and the antagonism that she gave Keith Davis Jr.'s family and his supporters. So before Marilyn Mosby lost office, and while Keith was still in jail, the movement in Baltimore to free Keith Davis Jr. was gaining a lot of momentum and traction. People had yard signs. There was numerous rallies, events. It was a mobilization effort, right? So let's take it back here a few years to when Marilyn Mosby was caught at the Inner Harbor, at Baltimore's Inner Harbor, when she encountered a supporter of Keith Davis Jr., and the supporter said to her, free Keith Davis Jr., okay? Do y'all think Marilyn Mosby just walked away? Do you think she heard that call to free Keith Davis Jr. and took it under consideration? She shook her head like, yeah, this is what the people of the city, I might need to reconsider what I'm doing here. No. You know what Marilyn Mosby did at the harbor that day when the person came up to her and said, free Keith Davis Jr.? She gave him the finger. She gave him the finger. Okay. She flipped him the bird. Okay. Now, me, also a lady of little to no class. I am not offended at the mere gesture of a finger flipping. That does not bother me. Even a finger flipping from an elected official, whatever. I don't appreciate the circumstances or the context in which she flipped the finger, but just flipping the bird, that don't bother me. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But she lied about it. She took to the Baltimore State's Attorney official Twitter account and told a bold-faced lie. And this is why her ass got convicted in the first goddamn place of some federal fucking charges, because she's a liar. And people who lie about little things will lie about big things. And people who will defend those little lies to the death, baby, you can only imagine the big lies that are creeping and hanging around in their closet. I want us to go to Fox 45, and let me put this disclaimer out here. Fox 45 Baltimore is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting. It absolutely has a conservative, racist slant to their reporting. But the conundrum, I think, for mainstream news consumers of Baltimore and Baltimore politics, as shit as Fox 45 is as an institution and as a station, the hard coverage that they gave Marilyn Mosby was simultaneously misogynist and it was accurate. A lot of it was accurate. She didn't like it because it came across very racist in tone, which I don't dispute. But was they lying? No, it's the question. These are the questions. Like, no, you can't get mad at the reporting if it's factual. So let's go to Fox 45. Back a few years here, when Mosby was still Baltimore State's attorney, Keith Davis was still in jail, and the kerfuffle over the flipping of the bird became an issue in Baltimore City. Let's take a listen.
Stopping messages from Mosby into her office. Mackenzie, you took these photos to the people of Baltimore today, and what did they tell you?
Yeah, Mixie, we showed some screenshots of this video to some people today. Most were quick to say that they did believe that it was an obscene hand gesture made by City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby, but some other people say they don't really care about the hand gesture itself. It's really about the story that's evolved afterwards, and they say that is raising questions. The video taking over Baltimore social media. A man walking his bike by the City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. As he passes her, she does this. It's a little difficult to see at first, but after an enhanced photo emerges, the obscene gesture becomes clearer. I showed the photo to several people in the city today. People Mosby was elected to serve. What does that look like to you?
It's a middle finger.
Clear?
Clear, yeah, it's a middle finger. I see enough of them.
You got a finger up.
What finger?
One of them right here, I think.
Yeah, that's her middle finger. Yep, that's her middle finger.
Wednesday night, the official Baltimore City State's Attorney's Twitter account saying it was just a thumbs up. Mosby, like everyone else, has the right to free speech. But some Fox 45 News' viewers reacting to the issue on Facebook with the same message. It's not about the finger, it's about lying about it. Why? If she's lying about a finger gesture, then what else does she lie about? I don't care about the finger, it's the blatant lying, trying to say it was her thumb. Not what she did that mattered, it's the lie. And Towson University rhetoric professor Richard Vatz saying the debate itself is concerning.
You can imagine that there are people for whom you'd never have such a debate because their reputation is so stellar that you wouldn't even consider it. She is not a good representative of her office.
Less than 24 hours after the first statement, calling it a thumbs up, a news story from Marilyn Mosby, telling the Baltimore Sun she, quote, responded the way any normal woman would to a threatening strange man. As the city's top prosecutor, Mosby is given a protective detail, 3 officers and 1 sergeant, worth $1.26 million a year paid by taxpayers. I asked Mosby's office today for a clear answer about the hand gesture, given the flip-flopping stories, and if her multi-million-dollar detail was with her during this incident that she claims was threatening.
Free Keith Davis Jr.
When a man walked his bike by her in Baltimore. After the headline in the Baltimore Sun, Mosby's office telling Fox 45 News she did not admit to using the obscene hand gesture. Her office not responding to my questions about the $1.26 million protective detail or offering a clear explanation for what happened. But as Mosby's story changes, the people I spoke with today were pretty clear about one thing.
That's a middle finger. Thumbs up.
Now, middle finger or not, most people are saying it's about this messaging that's happening and this story that's changing after that they seem to be taking issue and are most frustrated with, especially since it's coming from the city's top prosecutor, the same person tasked with prosecuting crimes in a city that continues to be gripped by violence. Live in Baltimore.
Live in Baltimore. Now, guys, I know y'all like, why was that even a story? Like, why did that even turn into something that needed to be, chased down and followed through? It's simply because Marilyn Mosby, in her capacity as a public official, just was dishonest. She just wasn't telling the truth. And again, you want to lie about dumb shit. What else are you lying about? Really quick, circling back to her sentencing in federal court. She was ordered by the judge to turn over the property in question that she bought, under these pretenses, for the charges that she was inevitably convicted of. She will be getting back her $42,000 and some change deposit on the Florida condo. You guys ever, I guess it's in the Florida Keys. It's in a place called Longboat Key. Anyone familiar? $500,000 condo. Again, that she had said was going to be her primary residence, but how was you going to be living in Florida full time, baby girl, when you was the Baltimore state's attorney? Huh? What? That don't make sense. What? Sound like a lie, huh? Stop lying. Stop lying, and you may have better outcomes. Be honest. Again, it kills me to see all of this justice rhetoric, this liberty rhetoric. And, justice for Marilyn Mosby is justice for all of us. Let's be clear here, y'all. Marilyn Mosby was in trouble because she lied about forms because she was trying to be a earn your leisure ass nigga. That's it. She was trying to get her Airbnb property. That's it. This wasn't some righteous fight to protect her children's college savings or whatever, something, familial related or something, a more righteous cause that more folks could kind of get behind. Look at that goddamn spectacle and display of the black bougies rallying around this woman who was convicted of lying about stupid shit because she wanted to buy a fucking rental condo in Florida. Baby, I lack empathy. I do. Period. Point blank. The good thing is, I suppose, another black person did not end up in jail. I guess. but I'm curious how many other people, as a result directly of prosecutions undertaken by Marilyn Mosby's office when she was still Baltimore State's attorney, I wonder how many other Keith Davis Jr.'s there are out there. I wonder how many other people are languishing in jail because they didn't have the community support or the familial support to rally around them the way that Keith's family and greater community did. So I imagine some folks that are languishing in prison right now behind some shit Marilyn Mosby's office did. What are they to do? I want to see sympathy for those people. I would love to see Ben Crump take up the mantle for those people. I would love to see the NAACP Legal Defense Fund get behind some of those people who aren't visible, who don't have names, who don't come out of the black bourgeoisie, who don't have the money to buy a second and third home in other states to generate additional income from. Get the fuck out my face with all this protection and championing of the black bourgeoisie. Whatever happens to them, happens to them. If the system happens to ensnare them and they get punished in the same way that they want to see poor and working class black folks punished, fuck them. Anyway, let's take a break. Thank you guys so much for watching us today. It is Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Big up to everyone watching us on Twitch. Shout out to those who came out to the Kim's Twitch turn up. It was a jammy jam. We had a blasty blast. I hit y'all with my first edition of the Jay-Z samples. It was great. I liked it. It was good. Well, once we got rolling, you know, Auntie did have some difficulty pushing the buttons and such, but you know, we worked through it. It was a full moon. It was trying to hold us back. The full moon was trying to weigh in on its fuckery. We was not defeated by the Gemini full moon, by the way. Happy birthday to all the Geminis. It is Gemini season. We're so happy that y'all are going to try to behave. I know it's hard for Gemini to behave. We want you guys to behave. So anyway, hold on. Let me see if I can get my shout outs in. We got some folks in here with us. Big up to Afra. Big up to Chichi Macha. Big up to Stoner Loner. Hold on, this thing is my phone. My phone needs an update, and it's acting like it needs an update, and I don't dig it. Peace to James. What's going on? What's up, Steve Dubs? Thank you so much. Let me say, big up to Teresa. Teresa, thank you so much for your super thanks support. Thank you so much to Infinite Content for your Cash App support. Someone else ran us a Cash App. Hold on, let me make sure I know who I'm talking to. What's up, Quaker? Anarchist Socialist. Thank you for your support, baby. I appreciate y'all. Hold on, who is this person? Engage with the video, you guys. Give it a like, a thumbs up. Oh, Zernia. Thank you so much, Zernia. Thank you so much for your support. I certainly appreciate it, guys. If you want to support the channel, this is a Black woman-led channel. My politics are neither Republican nor Democrat nor Libertarian. I guess you could say my politics are kind of anti-American. Like, I'm trying to think of a party or a system that currently exists in this country that, you know, that has some oomph to it, some power, I should say. And no, I'm not down with none of them, unfortunately. I am down, however, for us eventually seizing the means of production, right? I'm here for guillotine. I'm a guillotinist. That's what I am. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a guillotinist. You know what I'm saying? I'm here. When the guillotines come out, let me know. I'm gonna catch the metro down there. I'm gonna catch the metro down there. So thank you all for joining me on this evening. Like, share, subscribe, etc., etc. Who was I gonna say? It was something else I meant to tell y'all. Oh, yes. I want you guys to please be safe this Memorial Day weekend. For no other reason, because them boys be out. Okay. The police be out on the holiday weekends. So, beloveds, I encourage you and yours to travel safely as possible. And what do I mean by travel safely? Don't give the police no reason to pull you over, right? I mean, ride dirty as needed, but, you know, buckle up. Put your seatbelt on. Make sure all your brake lights and shit is working. You know what I'm saying? Don't give them boys no reason to fuck with you as much as possible. You know, but if you're white, you don't have to worry about that. So, you know, being white is the protection. Y'all don't need advice from the police. You know what I'm saying? That's awesome. What's that like? Is that fun? Yeah, I already know it's fun. So there's that. Everything is not cooperating with me tonight, gang. And y'all like, Kim, this shit never cooperates with you. I guess it doesn't. Shit, I don't know what to say. So anyway, we are gonna keep this thing rolling here. It's Burn It Down with Kim Brown, Friday edition. Appreciate you guys. Let me get back to my doc here because the public relations for Israel's fallen off a cliff. Do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, chat, do the things, follow us places around the internet at BIDWKB, at Burn It Down KB on Twitter. So Israel PR is looking mighty bad. From what I also understand, the Israeli military not looking so great out here either, but the American media won't tell you that. But here's what some medias will tell us, because in what is seemingly like a very stunning shift in international opinion, not only just opinion, but what countries are willing to go on the record and say and condemn about Israel's genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza. Israel is very quickly becoming not beyond a rogue state. Like, this is beyond that. This is a pariah state situation. The way that Israel is isolating itself from the rest of the world, but as we're about to get in here, most notably, isolating itself seemingly from the West. Now, I know some of what I'm about to get into is maybe not rhetorical, but it may not be what they make it out to be. So let me tell you what I'm talking about here. So it was announced this week that a number of European countries, I believe they're all EU member countries, if I'm not mistaken, said that they're going to recognize the state of Palestine, which may not be such a big departure because a number of other nations over the years, over the decades, actually have expressed the support for a so-called two-state solution. The problem is you need two cooperating parties to have a two-state solution, because one of the parties wants one state and they want the other state to not exist. And I'm talking about Israel does not want Palestine, does not want Gaza to exist. So anywho, the tone has changed a little bit. So let's go to the press conference. I believe this is from Ireland's Prime Minister. The Taoiseach, is that what Damien Stoner Lorna, am I saying that right? Taoiseach? That's not his name, that's his title. Because I don't know what language they speak in Ireland. It's like I do. It's Celtic, I think. But woo, that should be sounded different. But anyway, so we're going to hear from Ireland's leader, and then we're going to get the little update from the gentleman from Sky News. He's going to present us with a quick primer of the situation, the breaking news there. I don't know what accent that is. Is that British or is that Australian? It's a muddle. It's bad, whatever it is. So anyway, I'm a hush. Let's get to the clip. Will, thank you.
Are announcing that we recognize the state of Palestine. Each of us will now undertake whatever national steps are necessary to give effect to that decision. In the lead up to today's announcement, I've spoken with a number of other leaders and counterparts, and I'm confident that further countries will join us.
Oh, Will, can you start that from the very beginning?
In the coming weeks. Today, Ireland, Norway, and Spain are announcing that we recognise the state of Palestine. Each of us will now undertake whatever national steps are necessary to give effect to that decision. In the lead up to today's announcement, I've spoken with a number of other leaders and counterparts, and I'm confident that further countries will join us in taking this important step in the coming weeks. This is an historic and important day for Ireland and for Palestine. On the 21st of January 1919, Ireland asked the world to recognise our right to be an independent state. Our message to the free nations of the world was a plea for international recognition of our independence, emphasising our distinct national identity, our historical struggle, and our right to self-determination and justice.
Up until now, 139 out of 193 UN member states recognise Palestine as an independent state. But as of today, it will be 142 because Spain, Ireland and Norway are all going to formally recognise Palestine as a state in coordinated press announcements. The Israelis, as you'd expect, oppose this. The Foreign Ministry released a video yesterday warning Ireland not to be a pawn of Hamas. Largely, it is a symbolic move, but there are some practical consequences of it too, and it could persuade other countries potentially to follow. France, for example, Emmanuel Macron has previously said that recognising Palestine as a state is not a taboo, and so a significant moment.
I guess it's significant. I mean, I would like to see what the policies behind that are going to be. It's one thing for these nation states to acknowledge or recognize Palestine as a state, but do you intend to sanction Israel for its genocide in any way? Like, are there going to be any political consequences for Israel beyond what is happening with the ICJ and the ICC? Ooh, I saw a clip. I should have pulled it. I didn't pull it. Y'all, Netanyahu. Oh, you almost saw the horns come out of his head. This nigga was so mad. I think it was the clip from George Stephanopoulos. He asked him, what he thought about the arrest warrants from the International Criminal Court and whether or not he was concerned. Netanyahu said, "Nah, I ain't concerned. You know who should be concerned? Kareem Khan, the ICC prosecutor." I said, "What?" I said, "That sounds like a threat. Kareem Khan need to be on his P's and Q's out here. Kareem Khan need to keep his head on a swivel." Because that sounded like a direct threat to me from the Israeli prime minister to the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. I saw another exchange, and the reason I didn't pull it because it was from CNN, and I don't like CNN. I try not to pull anyway. Fuck them. But anyway, the clip was between Jonathan Greenblatt from the ADL and Mehdi Hassan and Greenblatt again. Sort of, I saw the spittle coming out of Greenblatt's mouth. He was pissed. He was calling the ICC like a kangaroo court. I think he even called it a monkey court. I said, okay, okay, called it a monkey court. And then Mehdi Hassan came back with the chopper and said, well, actually, most nations are signatories to the International Criminal Court, with the exceptions of the United States and Israel and maybe one or two other joints. Like, just because the United States and Israel view these proceedings as kangaroo or monkey court, as it were, the rest of the world seems to give what the ICC says a little bit of weight, a little bit of validity, credibility, all of that. Joe Biden is finna lose the election, y'all. It's going to be because of what is happening here. And it's going to be spurred on by the youth them, okay? First of all, hold on. Yes, no. Let me recognize the kids out here. Because even though commencements are going on, the spring semester is by and large either over at most universities and colleges or just about to wrap up. It doesn't seem as though the protests and the encampments are wrapping up, which I find very encouraging. And I think bodes well, is a good harbinger for us going into the fall, because the kid says, oh, you thought just because school was over, we was done? That's not what the kids have said at all. Hold on here. Yeah, Will, let's look at the Harvard joints first, and then I'm gonna come back and talk about. I have an issue. I mean, obviously, I have a tremendous issue with the genocide, but I've discovered some other things about the way the symbiotic relationship between the United States and Israel is a harmful one, not only to Palestinians, but to people who were harmed in America by folks who used the right of return to escape criminal prosecutions for horrific shit that they did. I'm gonna get to that in a second, but hold on. I want us to take a look at what happened at Harvard. Harvard's commencement. Hundreds, I'm sure you guys have seen this already, but hundreds of kids walked out, you guys. Harvard is America's, good neighborhood. Harvard is where allegedly America's best and brightest go. And I don't know if all of these kids are actually believing in the issue of stopping the genocide, supporting the Palestinian people, trying to get their institutions to divest from Israel, or if it's a trend or a wave or whatever. But regardless of the reason, they doing it, and the pictures really speak volumes about the sentiment of the students about their hallowed ceremony. Like, you were graduating from Harvard. This is supposed to be a big deal. The kid said, fuck all that shit, man. Free Palestine. Will, let's take a look at the clip, please.
You going closer?
I confer on you the degree of Master of Science or Master of Engineering and affirm that you stand ready.
Oh my God, Tim McCarthy's walking out.
Foundational science. Inspirational thinking. Congratulations.
University, we know what side you're on. Remember South Africa, remember Vietnam. Harvard University, we know what side you're on. Remember South.
Remember Vietnam. So in the first clip, everybody, I'm sorry, I buried the lead a bit there. In part, the students at Harvard's commencement walked out because 13 of their classmates were being denied either the opportunity to participate in commencement, or they were being denied their diplomas outright because of their participation in the encampments and in the protests that have been happening in previous weeks. So 13 Harvard graduates were precluded from participating in the ceremonies, and their classmates said, fuck this shit, let them walk. But ultimately showing solidarity with not only their classmates, but with the movement that their classmates sacrificed this opportunity for this, a life marking event, right? Your college graduation. So, and that is replicating itself. We definitely want to see and send our solidarity out to the students and those supporting the kids at UCLA and everywhere where these actions are still going on. The Fashion Institute of Technology, thank you all so much for all that you do. And for all the organizations that are supporting the Palestinian people, calling attention to the ongoing genocide. By the way, Netanyahu says that Israeli forces continue and they intend to proceed with their invasion of southern Gaza near Rafah. I believe we're talking about 1 million Palestinians are now going to have to flee once again, becoming internal refugees in their own country for now the third and fourth times in many of them. The famine situation is atrocious, with people starving to the point. I think it was one of the international food agencies said that folks are dying as skeletons. It's horrific. It is absolutely horrific. And Israel is continuing, and the United States is not nearly doing enough to stop it or to ensure that humanitarian aid is getting into the hands of the people that absolutely desperately need it. So the U.S. is still not doing enough. The kids see that the U.S. is not doing enough. Not only are they going to make Joe Biden pay in November, but they're going to make their institutions pay. But the problem is they better get out their system, because when Trump becomes president, y'all, Trump is if we thought the NYPD was the stormtroopers, no, under a Trump presidency part two, Trump is going to tell them to go full on empire on everybody, imperial stormtroopers in every city. So it's going to be a wild rest of the year, everybody. 2024 and 2025 are set to deliver a lot for us as folks. But I wanted to circle back here, to this idea that Israel is a pariah state now for the genocide that it is committing, right? But the historical treatment over the past 75 years of the Palestinian people, them basically making Israel and Gaza apartheid states, is deplorable and condemnable enough. But I happened to see this story circulating, and it was from CBS News. And I want to give content warnings and trigger warnings because it involves child sexual abuse at the hands of religious clergy, okay? Or in some cases. In one case, one of the persons I do not think was a religious, member of a leader, whatever, religious person. But my point is the use of the right to return is a very interesting one, especially for those in America who commit crimes and know that they have the option to either seek asylum or to go to Israel and become citizens to avoid prosecution here in the United States. Apparently, this is very pervasive. This is not new, and it's not something that's being reined in by either US officials or American officials. So, in addition to this being a story about predators, this is also a cops ain't shit story, everybody, because ultimately the victims in this piece were children. And there was seemingly no urgency coming from the police in America or in Israel to get a hold of those that were accused, and in one case, actually convicted of knowingly and intentionally harming children. So I want us to look at this piece. It's a couple minutes, so get comfy. This is from CBS. And again, the content warnings and the trigger warnings for descriptions of abuse. So Will, let's take a look at that.
That allows accused and convicted American pedophiles to escape. A CBS News investigation has uncovered a loophole that allows accused and convicted American pedophiles to escape justice by moving to Israel. So Ian Lee has been following this for more than a year, and he traveled to Israel for this investigation. He worked with a group that tracks people accused of sex crimes, which estimates dozens of Americans have used this loophole.
So, he's 6'2".
We are on a stakeout looking for this man, Jimmy Julius Caro, 48 years old and wanted on charges of sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl in Oregon back in 2000 and a 5-year-old girl in Israel in 2001. He's considered dangerous. But these photos are a few years old, so we don't know if he'll look the same. He remains elusive. Previous attempts to capture him have failed.
Obviously, the fear that he would somehow figure out that anyone's looking for him and bolt. He just called his number.
Shauna Aronson got a tip that Caro's expected at this clinic near Tel Aviv.
Who's going to call the
She's
police
with JCW, Jewish Community Watch, an organization that hunts down accused pedophiles who flee to Israel from the U.S., exploiting a process called law of return, whereby any Jewish person can move to Israel and automatically gain citizenship.
The ease with which pedophiles seem able to use this law as an escape route haunts victims like Mendy Hawk, who says he was abused from age 8 by a teacher at an Orthodox Jewish school in Los Angeles.
So your classroom is right here. How does it feel being back?
I was very anxious and, stressed coming back here. A lot of memories coming through my mind.
Memories of his alleged abuser, Mordechai Yom-Tov, who taught him Hebrew studies when he was just 8 years old.
So in the beginning, he would just rub me outside of my pants, and then I would say about 3 to 4 months later, he started going in.
Reaching down your pants?
Yeah, it's reaching down.
Why did you feel like you couldn't tell anyone?
I was scared. I was ashamed. I just didn't know what people would think of me, of the whole situation.
Yom Tov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually abusing and committing lewd acts against 3 other boys. He served jail time, but when he was released, he violated his probation and, according to JCW, fled to Israel with help from individuals within the Orthodox Jewish community. JCW tracked Yom Tov down and confronted him with a hidden camera in Jerusalem, where he admitted to illegally fleeing the United States with help and using a fake passport to enter Israel.
I was supposed to stay for 5 years in the same city. I was supposed to, I was supposed to go every 2 weeks to the police station. On parole. I left within a week later.
He had this message for his victims.
I'm very, very sorry.
The other person in this video is Mayor Seawald, the founder of Jewish Community Watch. He tells CBS News Yom Tov's case isn't uncommon in the Orthodox community.
The same thing that's going on in the Catholic Church right now around the world, the exact same thing happens in our community. The rabbis say it's, you know what, he promised he's going to go for therapy, he's never going to do it again. Boom, he's in another community. A few years later, he's at the same thing, and we hear more allegations that the person continued to abuse children.
And often, those abusers end up in Israel. Rabbi Yehuda Oppenheimer says he unwittingly helped Caro escape.
There was nothing that raised any red flags up to the point where he was moving to Israel.
Well, I wish I could say that, but unfortunately I can't say that. So he had violated his parole, and now they were looking for him. He said that there was something in the past that had happened when he was young, but nothing had ever happened since. I've changed and I'm a different person now, but you gotta help me. I felt that I could trust him. So I wrote him a letter, and he bought a ticket, and he left.
Caro is accused of abusing more children when he got to Israel.
What was that like for you when you found that out?
Punch to the gut. It was very painful.
Rabbi Oppenheimer says the reason he came forward is to shine a light on the process of accused pedophiles fleeing, to help ensure it doesn't happen again. Back at the stakeout, an ambulance pulls up and a man steps out. It's Caro.
That was definitely him. Oh my God. Okay.
The police are called and eventually arrive. His days on the run are over as he's led away.
Did you assault the girl in the United States?
No.
Did you flee Israel because you assaulted the girl in the United States? Have you ever assaulted any girls in Israel? Do you know that you're wanted by Interpol?
Yeah.
There's relief as police escort him to their car. This marks the end to a months-long manhunt.
Oh my gosh! Can I give you a hug? I have something I need to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. We found him, and he was just arrested.
What?
He was just arrested.
Thank you. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Amuna, not her real name, is the person on the other end of the line. She was a little girl when Caro entered her life.
I was 4 or 5 years old. My mother was on bed rest. My father was a rabbi, so he wasn't really home. He used to come to our house. We used to play games, and then it became sexual. I'm going to give you a cookie because you do it so nicely. It's all about the cookie. It's all about lying, and it's all about being so evil to a little child. He also threatened me he would kill my parents. He would choke me. He would hold me. He would kidnap me.
How did that affect you?
A lot. Yeah. It affected my whole life. My whole life is around this sexual abuse and rape. Yeah.
Amuna turned to therapy and art to help deal with the trauma.
This is in my bedroom and my inspiration.
She paints and writes poetry, but she's still angry that it was allowed to happen in the first place.
What are your thoughts on him being able to come to Israel and flee the United States?
It brings up a lot of anger and a lot of frustration towards the Israeli system.
Shauna says the failure begins in the U.S.
Why would someone want to help one of these pedophiles escape?
Oftentimes there's some sort of community incentive. Either somebody owes them a favor, or someone in the community, let's say an institution, has covered up for them in the past, and they know that if this goes to court, there's a lot of civil liability coming down the line, you know, and it's going to cost a lot of money to a lot of people, and nobody wants to deal with that.
Shauna accuses the Israeli police of not prioritizing accused pedophiles on the run.
Why do you have to be the ones that do this?
Because nobody else is. That's really, I don't have any better answer than that.
And if you guys weren't doing it,
then nobody would do it.
Israeli police told CBS News that, quote, the police coordinate closely with the Ministry of Justice and worldwide police organizations in order to find suspects overseas. Today, Caro faces charges in Israel, while back in the United States, the district attorney's office in Clackamas County in Oregon told CBS News they are working with federal authorities to secure his extradition. But Mordechai Yomtov remains at large. The district attorney here in Los Angeles told us they have not requested Yomtov's extradition and that they had no other comment. Jewish Community Watch says that is the problem. If American officials don't try to get accused pedophiles from Israel, then they simply escape justice and leave children at risk. The U.S. Department of Justice declined to comment on specific cases, but praised their relationship with Israel's law enforcement, adding sex offenders have been successfully extradited in the past. Days after Caro's arrest, Amuna confronted him at an Israeli police station.
It was good. It was good to confront him. It was important for me to have that closure in my life.
The healing process will continue for Amuna, but for many, like Mendy, the lack of justice means the pain continues.
So there are two things JCW says could help close this pathway. First, better background checks on people moving to Israel. And second, more willingness from U.S. authorities to pursue the accused.
So it certainly seems like law enforcement, both here and in Israel, are sort of busy patting themselves on the back on how well they cooperate with one another. But Jewish Community Watch seems to be doing most of that grunt work, that on-the-ground investigating. Why do they say, the group, why do they say more pedophiles aren't being apprehended?
So it's very complicated when you leave the United States and go to Israel. First, they say that once these people are wanted, that they need to go to Interpol and have that international arrest warrant put out for them so that the Israeli authorities can then start looking for them. Extradition is expensive, and a lot of these jurisdictions just don't have the money or manpower to really pursue them. And then when you get to the Israeli side, JCW says that they need to be doing more background checks on these people. Sometimes a simple Google search will bring up, especially if it's an Interpol arrest warrant, will bring that up, and so that they can then know this person is dangerous, they should not be let in, or if there is an arrest warrant out for them, that they need to go and pick them up. And JCW says that there just isn't the priority to go and pick these people up, that the police don't have the resources there to go and look for these people as well. So it really does fall on JCW to track them from the United States to Israel.
That's unbelievable. Does JCW also sort of believe?
It's unbelievable because it's bullshit. There is no good reason that either law enforcement in Israel or the United States can't better communicate in order to get known, convicted, or suspected pedophiles. Period. There is a lot there to unpack. And where should we begin? Should we begin with the rabbi who wrote a letter, a recommendation, basically for the convicted pedophile who had violated his parole in order to facilitate a more easier transition for him to go to Israel, just to find out that this small fucker got to Israel and kept on molesting little kids, little girls? And the reporter asked the rabbi, well, how did you feel when you heard that? Oh, it felt like a kick in the stomach. Well, imagine what it felt like for the victim. Imagine what it felt like for the victim, rabbi, knowing in some way, or they've eventually found out, the victim that is, found out that another person of faith, of their faith, wrote an endorsement for their abuser to come over to Israel so they could abuse them. And when we hear all of this cooperation between law enforcement on the U.S. and the Israeli side, and we know how much or how many U.S. police departments train with IDF forces, I can only assume some of that training is to, ignore pedophiles, to not apprehend child molesters. All of the things that we think, or at least rather we are conditioned, indoctrinated, and that continues to be widespread American mythology, is that the police apprehend the bad guys, right? Police get the murderers, they get the rapists. Y'all should see some of the dumb shit people say in my comments under my cops ain't shit stories. Well, we know who you gonna call if someone tries to rape you, and not gonna call the cops. But that's a fruitless effort. No. That's why I advocate self-defense, beloveds. I advocate home self-defense in all the ways, personal self-defense when you out in the world. I advocate that, because don't expect the police to come help you and come save you, especially if you are lower on the social hierarchy. And one thing that we don't like to admit is that children are relegated really towards the bottom of the social hierarchy, because children themselves lack the ability to advocate for themselves, because they're children. People take advantage of them, people exploit them, people harm them. And there are other people who are aware that the predators are indeed harming the most vulnerable, and they allow it. They look the other way because, oh, he said he was sorry. He said he's never going to do that again. I need for people in general, but for men specifically, because I'm talking, specific to this story that we just saw where the male rabbi wrote a letter of recommendation for the male pedophile. I need men to believe that there is literally no rehabilitation for those that especially would commit sexual harm against a child. Okay. Maybe a man who may have, drugged or took advantage of an unconscious woman as an adult, maybe he can maybe be reformed, maybe. But those that target kids, all the psychologists will tell you, like, there's no reformation. There is no sort of therapy that can rehabilitate a pedophile, someone who is sexually attracted to children. You can't help them, okay? They need to be away. They need to be away from people because they won't stop. If given the opportunity, they will continue. I don't care how much he cries, weeps, sobs that he has found redemption or he understands the error of his ways. He hasn't. He hasn't. And I hope, especially those that are in positions of influence or authority of power, who may come in contact with those who have been accused or convicted of this, I need them to understand that, and I need them to internalize that, okay? Because sex abusers are liars, okay? They're con people. They are dangerous. And they are pathological. They won't stop. What was another part about that I wanted to unpack? Oh, yes. The JCW, the Jewish Community Watch there in Israel, who spent a lot of hours. They didn't specify what pardon the gendered phrase here, but what the man hours were spent trying to track that American convicted pedophile who was on the run in Israel. They said they had been tailing him, they had been tracking him, they had gotten close to him one time, and then he got, he caught wind of them closing in, so he was able to give them the slip, but they finally caught up with them. And the woman said very plainly, if we were not doing this work, it wouldn't get done. The Israeli police have deprioritized the apprehension of known pedophiles that are on the run from America. They don't care. They don't care. So I'm sorry. And I know Israel's not alone in not giving a fuck about pedophiles, but because of the very close relationship, Israel's definitely not alone in not giving a fuck about pedophiles, because America barely gives a fuck about pedophiles. So it makes perfect sense that these are the two states that would have a very close relationship with one another. But I need us to please, if there are folks in your life still trying to, wave that Israeli flag, or, to say that, Israel is the home of where the Messiah will reset. Y'all, the Messiah ain't coming back to no place that don't lock up the pedophiles, okay? Either that or Jesus is going to show up and persecute the IDF forces first because of the genocide and the refusal to get the pedophiles. And the fact that Israel, at least according to this report, is not even doing basic background checks on people. If you are in Israel or know or have relatives or loved ones in Israel that have kids, you should probably give them a call. You should probably give them a call and let them know that their country is freely allowing those who have the right to return to Israel who have been convicted of sex crimes in America. I think Israeli parents should be made aware that their state is freely allowing pedophiles and sex abusers into their country to continue their pedophilic ways. Why are not more people disturbed by this? Why is there not a more urgent call? And granted, I understand in the context of the genocide, something like this may not ring as high, right? Or rank as high as the immediate urgent need to save Palestinian lives. But this denotes an ongoing policy, a modus operandi. This is how they operate. It's their mode of operation when it comes to dealing with sex offenders. And this is why, everybody, I want us to continue, if you have not already, to abandon any sort of faith or respect or, wishful thinking that the police, regardless of where in the world that they are a force for good, that they are there to, quote, get the criminals. Because when it comes to literally the most harmful people in our society, those that would harm a child, those that would harm vulnerable people, disabled folks, women, I don't like to think of myself as vulnerable, but versus a bigger, stronger man, I am definitely vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? And our country does not prioritize keeping those people away from the rest of us. It is quite all right to sacrifice the mental health and well-being of children, of children, in order to protect the predators. And that happens here, it happens in Israel, it happens all over. But as we're seeing a lot of our institutions fall and crumble, well, rather, they're not falling yet, but they are crumbling. The cracks and the fissures are beginning to show. I want us to keep on this propaganda of cops ain't shit. You got to prove to me that the cops actually keep people safe. I don't see it. I see them fucking up and occasionally getting the harmful person, but usually it's not without the public's help, right? It's not usually without someone dropping a dime or, them getting the evidence themselves to present to police. In the same way, sort of, the Jewish Community Watch did there in Israel. They found the motherfucker and then called the cops to come get him. You understand? The cops didn't find him. Cops didn't do that work. People did that work. The community does that work. The same way in which policing is done in America, it's not done through problem solving and investigation. It's usually shit gets solved because somebody told, right? And that, to me, is not an institution that deserves the lion's share of our public funding. It absolutely does not deserve the unearned mythology of good guys with badges, etc. These cops don't care about kids getting abused. And that's the main reason, and not the main, but it's one of many reasons why the cops ain't shit and why you need to tell everybody you know that the cops ain't shit, and let this be another reason why. So it is 8:28, and I'm going to say goodnight to all my Negro friends. Now, I'm going to try to get in this chat one more time because I thought I got it in it, and then I hit buttons, and then I wasn't in it, and I was very disappointed. So thank you all so much for showing up, for checking us out, for joining and subscribing to the channel, guys. I don't even want to jinx it. I don't even want to talk about the channel growth because YouTube's a hating ass hoe. And then YouTube will, I'm sure, do crazy things to my content that I won't appreciate. So just know that the channel is growing. I'm so appreciative and grateful for the new folks that have found us. I am absolutely appreciative and grateful for the folks that have been with us for years at this point. Big up to our mods. Shout out to Courtney, the SLP. What's up to my son Tyler? Peace to Latif. What's up to our long-term viewers? The Afra Sings, the Afraid Nots, the Stoner Loners. I don't even know if Zenzi Bell's in here. Did Zenzi Bell stop fucking with me, y'all? Because I fucks with Zenzi Bell. So I hope she didn't stop fucking with me. Let me see if I can get into this goddamn chat one more time because this shit be acting stupid. And I don't even understand why. Just real quick, be sure to continue to support Black Power Media, period. Guys, so I'll tell you that. Because again, I tell y'all shit. I know this shit ain't like no big secret. So, whatever the fuck. So we're going to put the Patreon poll up for BPM patrons to weigh in on their opinion of a potential new name for the channel. Again, we're not 100% united on should we even change the name, but we're working on that. But we have some suggestions that we're going to put up to the patrons. And the reason that hasn't already been put up, because, when we were under a coordinated attack, and I think you guys know what I was speaking of. The Bruvs, I think you know who I'm speaking of too when I say the Bruvs. The Bruvs were hastily changing passwords. And they forgot the password to Patreon. So we're working on that. And I know y'all like, Kim, why don't they just hit change? Don't ask me some questions, beloved. It's being worked on. It's happening. So the Patreon poll will be up soon. So keep checking everything at Black Power Media, period, for the newest developments. And we may be getting ready to tell y'all something about another potential in-person something happening maybe next month, but who could really say? I didn't hear that. It was a rumor. I don't know. Maybe I'm the one starting. You know what, Kim? Shut up. Just behave. Just behave yourself. Behave yourself. I'm behaved. Okay. I don't start rumors, kids. That's not what I do. All right. I'm going to say goodnight. Do me a favor. Go watch Saturdays with Renee tomorrow on Black Power Media. Go check out The Ear Doctor Sundays on Black Power Media. Be sure to check out the latest episode of Baroquish with Sister Erica and Amber, breaking down all the good info pertaining to brokishness. And we appreciate it. Check me out next Wednesday for Kim's Twitch Turn Up. I haven't decided what genre and where I'm going to go with my next playlist, but I have to say, kids, I'm really enjoying doing this. Shout out to the big homie DJ 6 Cents for helping me out and getting us in a position where I could do that, where I can play music and talk at the same time. So that's a game changer over here, everybody. And please don't forget to support the channel as much as you are able. And we appreciate all the support from our patrons, patreon.com/BIDWKB. If you want to support us at Venmo at BIDWKB, Cash App, $BIDWKB, PayPal.me/BIDWKB as well. To everyone that has sent support, big and small, it's all big to me because I'm grateful. There is no such thing as a too small donation. It doesn't exist. And even if you don't send material support, just showing up here, hanging out, engaging in the chat, being understanding why I don't or am not engaging in the chat. I appreciate all of that. So thank you all so much. And shout out to the good sistrens for the disability support chat. I guess that will be 2 Saturdays from now. Not tomorrow, not next Saturday, but probably the following Saturday. I'm guessing maybe that's the 9th or the 10th or something of June. So be watching the community section for when the next Around the Fire disability support chat is. If you're new to the channel, I am disabled, and we have a number of disabled folks that are in community in the Fire fam with us. So Anna Hart, Mama Lorraine, and Learn Life Abby facilitate this this discussion group, this support group. And it has really meant a lot to me. I think it has been very helpful to those that have been joining us consistently over the past couple of years. So if you're a newer viewer, just want to make you aware that we do that over here. We do that over here. We do not ignore our disabled folks because we are disabled folks. So anyway, I think that's enough. I think it's time to say goodnight to all my Negro and non-Negro friends. Thank you all so much for your support. We'll see y'all back here on Tuesday for the Tuesday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown, every Tuesday and Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe, set your bells and notifications. Follow us other places as well. And we will see y'all back here on Tuesday. Please have a happy and safe Memorial Day. I don't encourage drinking and driving. I mean, smoking and driving. If you're a professional, if you good at that shit, just be careful and shit. But don't get them boys no reason to pull you over. Okay, no open containers, y'all. Seat belts. Check your brake lights, y'all. Don't give them boys no reason to pull you over. We know they don't need a reason, but let's not give them no reasons. Okay, that's my advice for the weekend. That's your auntie advice. All right. Good night, everybody. Shout out to Will and Molly. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye. Doses.